I'm a drunken ornament. My life seems so misery. And if I could change my way of living, it would surely mean the world to me. Alright, my name is Delta Lou, and today we're going to be discussing Robert Johnson's Drunken Hearted Man Blues along with Malted Milk Blues. Two sides that are composed in the fashion of Lonnie Johnson, heavily influenced with the same chord arrangements and style of tuning. Two jazz pieces which are, in his version, a lot less complicated than what Lonnie Johnson would be doing. That's why I like it so much. And both pieces are very intimate, very kind of sweet songs that are really a pleasure to play. Not only that, it's a song that allows you to increase your repertoire and enhance your finger picking skills, especially with the right hand. And it also focuses on transitioning between licks, fragmentations of chords, full chords, and putting that all together and strengthening your coordination in these adjustments, going from a lick to a chord and so forth. That's why I wanted to create this lesson. We're going to be focusing on both songs, on the unique qualities that feature in both songs, and everything you need to know to learn it. And first and foremost with this song, this is basically in a tuning of drop D, and this is not necessarily open G tuning. This is drop D, meaning the top string is going to be tuned down to an octave with the fourth string. So if you were in E standard tuning, the top E would become a D. You would tune it basically one step down, and that's the only string that you would down tune. So for first and foremost, I just wanted to talk about the tuning of this. As I mentioned earlier, it's drop D, and if you have a standard guitar with you that's already tuned to standard, go ahead and drop the top string to a D, and so when you play that, you will have this kind of this very hollowed out tone on the top. But the thing about all of these pieces by Robert Johnson is that he's playing in this tuning but a half step up from E standard. So it's in a drop D tuning, but he's playing it a half step up. So meaning you could either play it in E standard with a capo on the first fret, or you want to tune it to exactly like how I have it. Now right now I am tuned exactly to how it appears in the original recording. So further on the road you can put a capo on and you can play it in any tuning which you wish, but for the purpose of learning today, let's tune exactly to the original LP, and let's tune so the neck board is clean of any capos and etc., so we can follow along easily when I'm going to be discussing the chords and the licks and etc. throughout the duration of this lesson. So my top string, I'm already in drop D tuning, but it's tuned a half step from E standard. So meaning the top string, which originally should have been D, is now going to become D sharp. So let's tune together. Now my fifth string is going to be an A sharp. It will sound like this. My fourth string is going to be a D sharp. And if you play the top string, you'll notice that the 6th and 4th string sound alike. So my 3rd string is going to be a G sharp. My 2nd string is going to be a C. And my bottom string is going to be an F. So you play it all together, play a D chord, it'll sound like this. And that means we're going to be tuned together. So both of these pieces are composed in the key of D. And they're just basically using a standard 1-4-5 simple, progression of blues. So the 1 chord will be the D chord, the 4 chord will be the G, and the last chord will be an A. And but in these pieces he's playing fragmentations of all of those chords, licks and half chords based upon those 3 chords, and we'll go over that more into detail further on. But first and foremost, I wanted to get the tuning of the songs squared away. So now we're tuned exactly to the original recording, and most importantly, we're tuned to one another so you can follow along. Now, normally I like to play with plastic finger picks. I'd always have one on my index finger, but for this purpose, since this is a very highly complex, especially when it comes to the right hand, you're going to be finger picking individual notes, brushing strings, plucking upwards. We're going to do away with the index pick for now. And just if you have a thumb pick like this should do. Plastic thumb pick will be beneficial. Now again, you don't need to play with any picks. You can just play with your bare tips of your fingers. That's fine. But a thumb will produce a stronger sounding tone when you strike the strings. It's always beneficial. It'll make you sound a lot better. So again, not much to have by this. Play with a regular acoustic guitar is fine for this purpose. Now that we've got the tuning situated and we've got our finger picks or whatever you feel comfortable with playing, I'm going to discuss, very importantly, the position of the right hand and the position that you will have with the thumb and your index finger. And they're very pivotal in attacking the concepts in this song. So for example, I like to play mostly a lot of this music, a lot of this blues music, even with Robert Johnson's music. What I like to do is I drape my hand like this to cross diagonally across the hole here. So it's like you're doing this shadow puppet, and you grace it like this, and your thumb, and basically what you're gonna be doing here is you're gonna be finding the outer lining of your thumb here. The outer lining is gonna be resting, hovering above the 6th and 5th strings, like this. And it's gonna be just dampening over there, just dampening lightly, resting. And this is all about positioning. It's going to be lightly dampening here, and your thumb is going to be just resting in position on the top string, above the top string. So it's like this. Now, you have like a shadow puppet motion. The thumb is basically in this position. The thumb is going to be focusing on the 6th, 5th, and 4th strings. And it's mainly going to be supplying you with this kind of bass accompaniment. He's going to be striking monotonic notes, and that's a lot of Robert Johnson's music, is this pulsating bass rhythm. The thumb is definitely the driver as far as rhythm goes, and it's a key component in the accompaniment of putting it all together. So it's ultimately acting like a metronome built into your playing, and that's why I'm stressing it's important. Now we've got the position down, but the thumb is basically going to be readily available to strike either 6th, 5th, or 4th strings, depending on what's being played on the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd strings, or what chord is being played. So you're going to coordinate according to the bass note of this triad, these chord triads. The bass note is going to play the root of it. So now that you have that position, your index finger is going to be basically in position to pick upwards, like flick up, like you're flicking some water, is going to be picking individual strings, like the 1st string, for example. Or you're going to be playing just the 2nd string individually, the 3rd string, and so forth. Sometimes you'll pinch together like a chord, like this. So the whole concept is you're going to have three kinds of modes of action that are happening with the right hand. You're either going to have just this pulsating bass, or you're going to pick out individual strings, or you're going to play a chord together with the thumb and pinky coming together and pinching together. So like the thumb has now come down to the 3rd string. And I know I initially said it was going to be on the 6th, 5th, and 4th strings. Well, the thumb is on the 3rd string, and the index finger is on the 2nd string. And together you're creating this motion. Now I'm playing a chord which I'll discuss further on. It's basically like a half G, half of a G chord. But the important thing here is that how I'm playing it. I'm pinching together. And in this sequence, which I'm playing right now, I'm playing basically one note here with the thumb, then pinching together, then pinching with the index finger. So each component of the right hand is going to play a role in here. And at first it's going to be a little bit overwhelming. It's going to be a lot of coordination and a lot of discipline that you have to maintain between what's being played on the left hand and the right hand. But that's why it's imperative that I'm teaching this song, because it only solidifies these concepts, and it definitely brings you into the fluidity of playing Robert Johnson's music, and that's why it's highly important. And again, I will discuss it later on in the material, but it's important to have this position ready. The thumb is always going to be ready to accompany the index finger, and it will make more sense as you follow along with the tablature, and I will discuss it even more. So I've discussed what I needed to on the right hand. The left hand, again, is just going to be standard. You're going to be playing these individual notes or chord fragmentations, so no need to emphasize on that portion. And again, these songs they're in the repertoire of Robert Johnson, especially with the standard tunings. I would say that they're up there as far as being the most complicated ones, because there's a lot of discipline involved, and again, it's being sampled from Lonnie Johnson. If you've ever heard his music, Lonnie Johnson was a virtuoso, basically one of the first guys playing these very complicated jazz solos for his time. And what I enjoyed about his approach to all of the people in his neighborhood is that he only sampled what he needed to, which was enough. And by sampling what he needed to, he, in these two songs, Malted Milk and Drunken Heart of Man, he simplified it and he made it his own. It is more of an intimate approach to this kind of style of playing. Whereas in Lonnie Johnson's music, he's just you know, in my opinion, he's just showing off, you know, that he can play all these solos. But that's what I enjoy about Robert Johnson, that he really feel the intimacy, the connection with the song, the soul of the song. And once you get to play it, you tap into that kind of intensity. So again, that's my little, you know, discussion about tuning, about, you know, right hand technique concepts, and things to get us started as we engage this material. So now let's start with the introduction, and we're going to be focusing on Drunken Hearted Man. And Malted Milk and Drunken Hearted Man both have introductions that are in the same vein. And these introductions are very comparable to what's being played in the Robert Johnson tunings that are in the key of A, like Kind Hearted Woman, Me and the Devil Blues, Queen of Spades. And he's using this common turnaround concept in this style of standard tuning. And what he's doing is he's just basically locating over the D chord, this D position here. He's locating the 10th fret, and you're basically going to be fingering your pinky is going to be positioned on the 10th fret bottom string the whole time. It's not going to move at all. It's always going to be positioned there. And you're basically going to be doing like a turnaround going on the 4th string primarily. You're only going to be playing the 4th and 1st strings together simultaneously. Those are the only strings you're going to be playing simultaneously. And so yeah, that's what you got to be concentrating on. So I've got my ring finger positioned over the 10th fret, 4th string, and my pinky is positioned on the bottom string, 10th fret. Now we're going to be playing 3 notes of this, and on your right hand you're going to be doing basically pinching those 2 strings simultaneously together like this. While you have this in position, your right hand is pinching together the 4th string and the 1st string together only, and it will be 3 times like this. 1, 3 times, or 4 times. He has variations between the 2 sides of Drunken Hearted Man. He plays it either 3 or 5 times, so it will be like, that. So you have 3 times this, 1, 2, 3, and then you can either slide your ring finger to the 9th fret or just go with the index finger. I tend to just go with the index finger, but whatever's comfortable for you. So you would play the 10th fret 3 times, 1, 2, 3. Then if you want to slide your ring finger or use the index finger, you hover over the 9th fret. Your pinky is still always going to be positioned over the bottom string, 10th fret. And then you just keep going down the neck. Now you're on the 8th fret with your index finger, and your pinky's still at the bottom string, 10th fret. And then you end on the 7th fret. So it'll be like this from the beginning. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 3 for each, or you can, if you play along with the original LP, on one of the sides of Drunken Hearted Man, he actually does it like 5 times. And again, you can follow along with the LP to match it exactly, but I'm just giving you the basic core components of this turnaround. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And notice that my pinky's always positioned on the 10th fret, always at the bottom. And you're basically doing the turnaround where the 4th string you're just switching from chord to chord. So very easy concept that I'm not going to waste too much time on. And then you're going to end on the 7th and 10th fret to create that perfect D octave. And 7th and 10th fret like this. So again, your pinky's always positioned on the bottom string 10th fret, and your index finger's on the 4th fret. So from the beginning, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now, in this turnaround, when he gets to this 7th and 10th fret like this, I believe he does maybe something like an arpeggio that goes like 1, 2, 3, 4. He does like an arpeggio, and the way you do that, once you play this last 7th and 10th fret, next what you would do is just bar from the 4th string down, 4th, 3rd, and 2nd and 1st strings. You bar that on the 7th fret, and you take your middle finger and hold down the bottom string on the 8th fret, and you just play an arpeggio from the 4th string down. And altogether it'll come out like this: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And then you play the arpeggio. And then when you play that arpeggio, you slide all the way to an A7 position. You would basically bar again from the 4th string down on the 2nd fret. 4th, 3rd, 2nd, and 1st strings are held down, and then with your middle finger you play that 3rd fret bottom string, the A7. And those arpeggios together would be like this. And then you strike the chord again, and then he goes into the beginning of the lyrics. So altogether, I'm going to go really slow with this introduction. It will be like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So those are the kind of core basics of both introductions. In one introduction, he seems to go faster, so it'll be like this. And you can speed up the tempo on that if you want to. But again, it's maintaining the same concepts. Like again, notice what I'm doing with the right hand. The thumb is going to be playing those arpeggios. So, again, I'm not going to spend too much time in the introduction because it's pretty simple, and it's very comparable to what he's playing in Kind-Hearted Woman. Now, we're going to go into the first lyric where he goes, "I'm the drunken-hearted man," and we're gonna discuss that verse, and we're gonna be exposed to these licks, these kind of unique chords in D, these fragmentations of chords in G, and again another kind of turnaround of licks which are very unique to this song. So after the introduction, we've got that squared away. I'm going to talk about the transition to the first verse. So I'm going to play from the introduction and get into that and play that first verse here. So here we go. I'm the drunken-hearted man. My life seems so misery. Okay, and we'll go over that. So, from that introduction, when he's playing this arpeggio in A7, and he plays this kind of downstroke chord, now you can play that twice, so here's where it's going to kick in, the part where it goes, I'm the drunken-hearted man. This is where it's going to come in. I'm the drunken-hearted man. I'm the drunken-hearted man. And we're going to discuss that here. So in this A7, you can allow it, when you play just the downstroke of the chord, you can let it ring, or you can play it twice. So, arpeggio, I'm the drunken-hearted man. It's, you know, whatever you want to do with there, but there is that kind of, that space between the end of the introduction and the start of the verse that's pretty crucial and sets you up. So you want to be in rhythm. Now, this next part is going to be a little bit tricky. So when you play this downstroke of the A7, you want to let that ring out. And before it, you know, you're basically playing like a whole note of the A7, but before it ends its course, and the whole note, you're gonna jump into this lick before the duration of the whole note ends. So basically you ring it out, and you're gonna do this lick that says, I'm the drunken-hearted man. And we're gonna go over that. So basically, when you play this A7 chord, what you're going to do now is you're going to locate the 2nd fret bottom string with your index finger, and with your ring finger you're going to locate the 2nd string on the 4th fret. Okay? And you're basically going to slide into the same positioning except on the 5th and 7th fret. So you've got this positioning, and you're gonna slide from the 2nd and 4th fret to the 5th and 7th fret. And this 5th and 7th fret, this positioning is gonna show up all over the place in both songs. So you need to get a good handle on it. And notice what I'm doing with the right hand. I've got my thumb coming all the way down to the 2nd string, and my index fingers is plucking up the 1st string. So you're picking together, like I said, pinching together these kind of chords, these half chords, which are usually going to be 2 notes together, are always going to be kind of played with this pinch. So you just do this lick like this. You pinch together the 2nd and 4th fret, and you basically slide in like a pull on into the 5th and 7th fret. You're basically pinching once. I'm the drunken-hearted. So it's 1, and then you'll play 1 downstroke of this position again.